The auditorium buzzed with energy. Hundreds of eager faces, young and old, filled the grand hall where one of the wealthiest men on earth, Bill Gates, was about to speak. Cameras clicked, capturing the moment as the tech visionary stepped onto the stage, his iconic glasses reflecting the spotlight. Yet amidst the crowd, one small figure stood out, a young boy, clutching a notebook and pencil, eyes wide with curiosity. "Mr. Gates," the boy's voice rang out, trembling yet determined. The room hushed instantly, turning its focus to the child. Bill smiled, nodding for him to continue. "You have everything: money, power, success. Are you happy?" The question hung in the air, raw and unfiltered. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the audience. Bill Gates paused, his expression shifting from amusement to deep thought. No one expected the answer he was about to give, a reply that would challenge every assumption about wealth and happiness. The boy, 12-year-old Ethan Morales, wasn't from a wealthy family. He lived in a modest neighborhood where dreams often felt like distant stars. Ethan's father worked long hours as a mechanic, and his mother juggled multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet. Despite their financial struggles, they instilled in Ethan a love for learning and an unyielding belief in the power of curiosity. Books became Ethan's escape. He devoured biographies of inventors, scientists, and entrepreneurs, drawing inspiration from their stories. Bill Gates, in particular, fascinated him. Here was a man who had shaped the world through technology, given away billions to charity, and yet seemed humble in interviews. To Ethan, Gates represented the pinnacle of achievement, but one question always lingered in his mind. Did such immense success bring true happiness? When Ethan heard that Bill Gates would be speaking at a nearby university, he begged his parents to let him attend. They pooled their savings to buy him a ticket, knowing how much it meant to him. On the day of the event, Ethan prepared carefully. He wore his best shirt, borrowed his father's old watch, and carried a notebook filled with questions he hoped to ask. Arriving early, he managed to snag a spot near the front. As the event began, he watched Gates with awe, hanging on every word. Little did Ethan know, his own question would become the highlight of the evening, sparking a conversation that would resonate far beyond the auditorium. As Ethan's question echoed through the room, the audience collectively held its breath. Gates, known for his quick wit and measured responses, appeared momentarily taken aback. He adjusted his glasses, looking directly at the boy. "That's a great question," Bill began, his voice warm but contemplative. "Happiness is something we all think about, but it's not as simple as it seems." The crowd leaned forward, eager for his response. But before Bill could elaborate, a man in the audience interrupted, chuckling dismissively. "Of course he's happy," the man said loudly. "He's a billionaire." Laughter rippled through a few corners of the room, but Ethan's cheeks burned with embarrassment. He had asked his question earnestly, not as a joke. Seeing this, Gates raised a hand to quiet the murmurs. "Let me explain," he said firmly, addressing both Ethan and the audience. "We often equate happiness with wealth or success, but that's not the full story." He glanced at Ethan, his tone softening. "When I was your age, I thought achieving big goals would make me happy, and while achieving them brought excitement and pride, it's not what brings lasting joy." The interruption had only deepened the tension in the room. Ethan's question had exposed a universal curiosity. What does someone like Bill Gates truly value? And now, everyone was hanging on his next words. Bill leaned against the podium, his demeanor reflective. "There's a moment I'll never forget," he began. "It happened shortly after I retired from Microsoft to focus on philanthropy. I was visiting a village in Africa where our foundation had helped provide clean water." He paused, his voice thick with emotion. "I met a mother there who had lost 2 children to preventable diseases. Thanks to the clean water, her youngest child was thriving. She looked at me and said, 'Thank you for giving my family hope.'" The room was silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Gates continued, "In that moment, I felt a kind of happiness I'd never experienced before. It wasn't about what I had achieved or owned. It was about knowing I had made a difference in someone's life." Turning to Ethan, he smiled. "Happiness, true happiness, comes from connection and purpose. It's the time I spend with my family, the moments when I see my work improving lives, or the simple joy of learning something new. Money can't buy those things." The audience erupted into applause, but Bill wasn't finished. "Let me ask you something, Ethan," he said. "What makes you happy?" Ethan hesitated, the spotlight now on him. I like reading," he said shyly, "and helping my mom in the kitchen. And sometimes I tutor my little sister. It feels good to teach her things I've learned." Gates' face lit up. "Exactly. Those moments of connection and growth, they're priceless. Never underestimate their value." As the conversation unfolded, something shifted in the room. The audience, initially there to admire Gates for his achievements, now saw him as someone deeply human, wrestling with the same questions they all faced. And Ethan's courage in asking such a profound question left a lasting impression on everyone present. By the end of the event, Ethan had become an unexpected star. Reporters approached him, asking about his question and what he thought of Gates' response. "I think he's right," Ethan said simply. "Happiness isn't about how much you have. It's about what you do with what you have." Bill Gates, too, took a moment to speak with Ethan privately before leaving. "You have a bright future ahead," he told the boy. "Keep asking big questions and never stop learning." As Gates walked away, Ethan felt a surge of inspiration. For the first time, he realized that greatness wasn't about wealth or fame. It was about making an impact, no matter how small. Back at home, Ethan's parents listened to his story with pride. "You made us proud today," his father said. "Not just because you met Bill Gates, but because you weren't afraid to speak from your heart." Ethan's question and Gates' response quickly went viral, sparking conversations around the world. People from all walks of life shared their own definitions of happiness, inspired by the boy's courage and the billionaire's wisdom. For Ethan, life returned to normal, but his perspective had shifted. He started volunteering at a local community center, tutoring kids who struggled with their studies. Each small act of kindness brought him a quiet joy, reaffirming what he'd learned. As for Bill Gates, he continued his philanthropic work with renewed purpose, often reflecting on moments like the one he shared with Ethan. In interviews, he would occasionally mention the young boy who had reminded him of life's simplest truths. If this story moved you, imagine the change we can create by asking the right questions and focusing on what truly matters. Share this video to inspire others to reflect on their own happiness and purpose. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that challenge, uplift, and remind us of the values that connect us all. Together, let's build a world where kindness and curiosity lead the way.